serenity, for the growth, that is something that touched my core.
You'll speak to him, please.
Believe out there. Okay, Lamed Lernen. I got the invitation yesterday. Shukayach. Mit ein Isafa B'Ksaviat. Okay, Kavua loy bottle.
How do you jump straight into this? I don't know. What? You do it somehow. I also don't. Actually, no. You're not. You go back to the moits and the.
The truth is, it's really the same thing. Just a different lavush. Yeah. Nigla and Nister are mamash the same. It's just a different form. Here you speak in the language of souls and klippers and moits and teven. Afishalakist, Afishabahamas, Taiva. And here you speak in Isis of chametz, matzah, kavua, roiv, chazaka. It's the same concepts.
I know it. A couple of differences. Doing the what is about it.
No.
You spoke about it. You opened up like whoosh. It's rolling inside. Like the snow is rolling out. This is like outside. The snow plow is in us. Boom. I know it's me. Open up the can. It's good stuff. This is the time when I need to sit with myself and say, all right, let me sit it out. And look at the time in the eye and let it.
Yeah.
And the next level is what you taught us is with the teferes. What is my soul really looking for? My soul is giving the body a message that I'm searching for something to fulfill myself. But the body touches it also in food or different stuff. But what is it really looking for?
What am I looking for? The pnimius, not the chitzonius.
It's not just the fact that I'm looking for something better, because everybody has different.
The body touches us. Whenever you send out a message, I'm looking for teferes. But the body knows teferes. That's what it brings you.
Yeah.
But if you let it sit out,
You tell the soul tells the brain, I'm really, really miserable. Something is bothering me. The brain says, oh. So the goof says, they say that cake is very good. That much tickle cake. Verstehst? It's trying to help. It's not trying to disturb.
But if you tune in,
yeah.
you can actually reach.
You got to train it. You got to train it. You have to elevate it. Yeah. It's not trying to do a person bad. It's just trying to survive, to help you survive. And the kernel is always in the chaff. That's the key. The klippa holds on to it protects it. It really protects it.
Medication. It's right in there.
It protects it, yeah. Like every fruit protects its seeds. One of the most amazing things of nature is to study how every fruit protects its seeds. It will not allow its seeds to go to waste easily. You'll take a peach. You ever noticed the pit in a peach? Right? It's very hard. You ever tried cracking the pit of a peach? You'll break your teeth. It's almost impossible. Here's the fascinating thing. You put it into soil. You put it into the earth. It opens up. Because in that pit, you have the seeds for the new peach tree. So it protects it until it goes into the earth. The earth opens it up. It's just the type of object. You put it into the earth. The earth opens it up. So now you have the seeds in the earth, a new peach tree. That's Pshat the Ma'aser Bereishis. Vayomer Elokim Tacheya Aretz Desha, Esav Mazriya Zera Eitz Pri, Oisa Pri Leminoi. Shezaroi Boy Lemineo. So the klipa always protects its seeds in a very powerful way. The ability to reproduce, the ability to grow. You know, watermelon pit. I don't know if you notice all these funny things. They're very interesting. Rabbi Victor Miller would always talk about this. He loved talking about it. If you have a watermelon, right? Watermelon seeds.
The black people on the scoop of the over.
Yeah. So, so the black watermelon seeds, or whatever color, green or black, right? They're slippery. They just have like a slippery surface to them. Huh? He says there's a reason for it, not stam. The reason is people eat watermelon usually in groups. It's a big watermelon, right? So the slipperiness, it slips off your hands and it slips off your tongue and it slips off the watermelon, and they're sitting outside and it falls into the earth. It can grow again. So the watermelon is created in a way that it should guarantee its reproduction. Every fruit has its own unique magic. That was a chelik of the Bria. It's a chelik of Ma'aseh Bereshis. So that's the point, that the mites always protects the kernel. It's always there for the kernel. And the worst thing is when you detach the two. You have to always know there's a kernel here. And that's the whole purpose of the klipa. There's no other purpose to it. The whole purpose of the mites is for the kernel. So now imagine somebody comes and says, no, the mites is the ultimate purpose. You're losing sight of the klipa and of the pnimius. First of all, you're doing an injustice to the chaff, because the whole purpose of the chaff was to protect the kernel. So if you want to actually utilize the chaff in the right way, it's by nurturing the kernel. And of course, you're doing injustice to the kernel. So the whole purpose of it is to protect it. It's inside it. Don't run away from it. That's where it is. And both are so valuable. So that's the point, yeah.
Miller speaks about if Asa walked into the room, we'd all stand up. He says that in one of his shirim. What's your take on that? What's the left for what? If Asa walked into
No, I think what he meant was that Esav had, Esav had tremendous potential. He was a great soul. I mean,
with a long bird, I think he said. In other words, there's a level in Asa that we can't understand
Right.
because of the way he's popular.
Right. Just the fact we have to understand that he was the genetic outcome of Yitzchak and Rivka. There wasn't.
So he had a great potential.
Yeah.
But it wasn't revealed in the way that it might have
Yeah,
been.
that was the whole point, that he struggled in the womb. So the explanation we gave was that he understood the struggle as an invitation to sin. And really the struggle was an invitation for growth.
So it's sort of just like putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
He ended up making an idol out of
Ataza.
what is really a springboard.
He made an idol out of the temptation. He made an idol out of the klipa. He made an idol out of the mites, when really it was very valuable, but its value is that it's protecting something inside of it. So don't lose that. Okay, so let's move on here. We have a lot to cover today. Be'ezer Hashem. I hope you have the copies of yesterday, right? The Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch. Rambam 2 pages, Hilchas Chametz Matzah, Perik Beis, the Shulchan Aruch. But first we have to do a shtickle Gemara here. Okay, let me summarize the Nekudah, so you should remember this is quite a complex and intricate sugya about Sveikos, which relates to many other sugyas in Shas, and particularly to this sugya here about Sveikos doubts when it comes to Chametz and Matzah, and when it comes to B'dikas Chametz. The Gemara basically, very briefly, enumerates 9 scenarios. And those 9 scenarios are explored. They evolve one from the other, as the Chidushei Haran makes it beautifully clear in the commentary of the Chidushei Haran and Maseches Pesachim. Scenario number 1 was 9 piles of matzah, 1 pile of chametz. A mouse came and took one of the pieces from one of the piles. We do not know if the mouse took matzah or the mouse took chametz. And the mouse ran into your house, which you checked already. What is the halacha? The halacha is you have to do another b'dikas chametz, as Rashi put it, or as Tosfos put it. Maybe you don't have to do another b'dikas chametz, but you're not allowed to eat that piece. Why do you have to do another b'dikas chametz? And the answer is because it's a suffix. Why is it a suffix? It's not a suffix 9 piles or matzah. Why don't we follow the Raiv, the majority? Statistically, this must be matzah, not chametz. Answer, because the suffix was born in the state which we call in halacha kavua. When the chametz and the matzah were in their fixed place identifiably. And hence we have the principle that we explained in previous shiurim. Kol kavua kemechza al mechza. When something is in a state of kavua, legally it's treated not as a minority, but as completely self-contained and therefore on par with the majority, and therefore it's a suffix matzah, suffix chametz. So Tosfos says you're not allowed to eat the bread, even though it may be chametz. And Rashi says you have to do another b'dikas chametz. On the other hand, if the mouse took a piece that was separated from the 10 piles, or the 10 piles, I'm just going to give another illustration that the Magen Avram gives, or the 10 piles get mixed in with each other. They become one big cholent and the mouse takes a piece from there. Or one of the 10 piles, one of the pieces separated and is now in some corner in the street and the mouse takes that. Now, we look at this piece in context of all the piles, since it comes from the whole mixture, we don't know from which one, called the parish, meiruba parish. We look at the majority, and therefore you do not have to do another b'dikas chametz when this mouse comes into your house. Scenario number 2. The truth is the first scenario has two scenarios, but the Gemara puts them together because it's kavua versus parish, and it's all the brisa of the 9 stores. 9 sell kosher food, 1 sells streifen food, so that's case number 1. Case study number 2 was what? Shnei tziburim. You have 2 piles, 1 matzah, 1 chametz. You have 2 mice. 1 takes a piece of matzah, 1 takes a piece of chametz, and it's all good. It's all clear. Now they run into 2 homes. 1 you did b'dika, 1 you did not do b'dika. We don't know which one went into which house. In other words, which house has the matzah, which house has the chametz. So the Gemara says you do not have to do another b'dikas chametz. And the source of that was the 2 boxes of truma and chulin, with 2 containers of truma and chulin, which fell into the 2 boxes. We don't know which one fell into which. Shani oimer, I say, truma fell into the truma, chulin fell into the truma, even though it could have been the exact opposite. Statistically, there's no way of determining and finding evidence that the chulin attracted the chulin and the truma attracted the truma. Nonetheless, since truma bisman hazeh is dirabanan, we go lekula lenient, which means the Yisraelim can eat the box of chulin without saying that there's truma here, and it's not bottle, and I'm not allowed to eat it. Similarly here, b'dikas chametz dirabanan, because minatayra bittul suffices. That means, even if it's chametz in my house, I will not be transgressing a din daraisa because I did bittul, or I will do bittul. And therefore, my only problem is that there's physical chametz in my house, which the chachamim said I have to get rid of. That's a chiyuv d'Rabbanan. And thus, I have a suffix in the chiyuv d'Rabbanan, and I go lekula, I follow the lenient alternative, which means I do not have to do another b'dikas chametz. You could if you want to. Of course, nobody's stopping you, but you have to do another b'dikas chametz. Granted. Scenario number 3. Not a little stira, big stira. Okay, we know that. We know that. We'll address it, Be'ezer Hashem. Bli neder. What was scenario number 3? Scenario number 3 is, you remember? 1 piece of chametz. And 2 houses that both had b'dikas chametz. And a mouse took the piece of chametz and ran into one of the 2 houses. The problem is, I don't know which house it ran into. This is a bigger problem than number 2. In number 2, I could say the house that never did b'dikas chametz got the chametz, so he does b'dikas chametz. The house that did b'dikas chametz got the matzah, so he doesn't have to do another b'dikas chametz. In other words, 50% I could maintain that the house that did b'dikas chametz remains b'cheskas baduk. In the 3rd case, I can't do that. one house was for sure compromised. Its integrity as a house that's clean was compromised. It's not 50%, it's 100%. I just don't know which. I don't know which. I can't say, let's leave things according to the status quo. And the status quo is your house was checked, and there's no certainty to extricate your house from the status quo that it was baduk. So let's leave it that way. There's a mouse that came in with chametz. Yeah, but 50% chance it went into that house. But here I can't say, let's leave and say, okay, the house is up a cheskes baduk. Let's not change the status quo. Excuse me. That's not a suffix. It's a vadai that the status quo was changed. It's not a suffix, it's a vadai. The question is which one? But it's certainly that one house needs b'dika, even though it had b'dika already, because it had chametz. This is the third question. What did the Gemara say here? The Gemara once again tells us that even in this case, you do not need b'dika. Why don't you need b'dika? You remember what was the case the Gemara brought? The famous paradoxical Mishnah known as Shnei Shvilin, the two paths. Fascinating halacha, right? You and me are walking down two paths. We know that one of these paths has a corpse buried in its entire width, which means one of us is tameh. Both of us went and touched holy sacred food like karbanos or truma. One of us is for sure tameh. We come to the chacham, and if we come separately, tahar and tahar. Fascinating. Safek tuma b'rishus harabim, tahar, and therefore each one is deemed as tahar. If we come together, then tameh, because you can't tell them both tahar. It seems like a lie. And if I come and I ask for you, it's a machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yehuda says the Rav could say tahar, and you'll understand for your friend, and Rabbi Yossi says tameh. What's the connection to our case? Our case is exactly the same situation. One house for sure needs b'dika, just like one person is for sure tameh, and yet we say sveika de rabbanon lekula. So if each one comes to ask on their own, do I have to do b'dikas chametz? The answer is no, you don't have to do b'dikas chametz, again, because you did bittel. 50%, 50% chance you have to do b'dikas chametz. That's true. So 50% chance you have to do b'dikas chametz. And one of the houses for sure needs b'dikas chametz. But nonetheless, each one on its own can be treated as assuming my chazaka was not challenged. Status quo is, it was clean. You want to prove there was chametz? Prove it. You can't prove it? I'm assuming there's no chametz. Again, I did bittel, so we're not worried about bal yirah or bal yimotze min haTorah. Case number 4. What was case number 4? A very interesting case. Different type of case now. The mouse brought in chametz to my courtyard. The mouse brought in chametz to my foyer. Let's put it this way. To my corridor. Let's make it practical. The mouse came into the hallway of your house with chametz. And I'm using the explanation of the Ran, the explanation of the Shulchan Aruch Harav and Siman Taf Lamed Ches Kontos Acharon, based on many other Acharonim. A very interesting question. It came into already my territory. That's not a question. In other words, there's a part that has to have b'dika. That chutzner needs b'dika. That lobby needs b'dika. I'm talking a private lobby. That foyer needs b'dika. That hallway needs b'dika. That front room needs b'dika because there's a mouse with chametz there. But what about the rest of the house? Do I now have to go redo the whole house? It's very possible, just as the mouse came in here, the mouse went into my dining room, and then went into my kitchen, and then went into my bedroom, and then went to the basement. So now or I say, no, the hallway, check the hallway. Yeah, check the hallway. But afterwards, I don't know, you could say the mouse went back out, the mouse went into a sewer system, the mouse ate it, whatever you could say. This is a very interesting question. How do we look at it? For this, the Gemara brought another fascinating argument between Rabbi Lezer and the Rabbanon, a Mishnah Maseches Taras. What's the Mishnah? I walked through open fields in middle of the rain season when they're considered a private domain. And let's remember, Safek Tuma B'Rishus HaYachid, Tomei. Safek Tuma B'Rishus HaRabim, Tahir. We learned this from the Psukim. Fascinating halacha. It depends where. This is called the Rishus HaYachid. One of the fields of these open fields has a mace, but I don't know which field I went through. I come to the other side, I come to the Chacham, and I say, I went in this territory, I walked through this vicinity, but I'm not sure if I walked into the field which has the corpse or not. Rabbi Eliezer says, you're Tahir. The Chachamim say, you are Tameh. Why does Rabbi Eliezer say you're Tahir? Because Rabbi Eliezer used to say, Safek Bia, Tahir. Safek Maga, Tameh. Which means, if you for sure came, the way the Rashi says it, if you for sure came into the field, just question if you touched the tumah or not, or you hovered over it or not, then it's a Safek Tumah B'Rishus HaYachid and it's Tameh. But since here there's another Safek, if you Bechlal came into the field, right? Safek Bia, if you Bechlal came in, you may have not entered the field. As Rashi puts it, it's a Sveika. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer says, you are Tahir.
What's the Safek
Safek Bia means I'm not sure I went into the field. It's not I went into the field, I don't know if I touched the corpse. I don't even know if I walked into this field. As Rashi says, the fields are marked. There's markers recognizing the boundaries between the fields. So I may b'chalal not have touched this field. I may have b'chalal not entered into this field. Even though the fields are in proximity to each other, I didn't walk through every single field. If I walked through every single field, Rabbi Eliezer would say you're Tameh, even though you were not sure if you touched it or not. But since here's a Sveika, so Rabbi Eliezer Tainis, even though it's a Rishus HaYachid, you're Tameh, you're Tahir, where the Chachamim disagree, and they say that the person is absolutely Tameh. Safek Maga means I came in, but I'm not sure I touched it. I'm not sure I came in contact with it. I was in the field. Let's say there's one field with a caver. I was in that field, but I don't know if I hovered over that caver, unless you're sure if the caver is horizontally through the laying, like we learned before in the Shvil. If you cannot go through the field without hovering over the mace, then for sure you're Tameh. But we're not talking about that situation. If you're sure, you're sure. Then there's no suffering. If he entered the field, but it's a question if he came in contact, that's called Safek Maga. If it's a question if he came in, it's called Safek Bia. Safek Bia Tahir, Safek Maga Tameh. The way Rashi learns it here, it's a gather of Svek Sveika. That Rabbi Eliezer holds even in Rishus HaYachid, a Safek would be Tameh, but a Svek Sveika would not be Tameh. That's how Rabbi Eliezer learns it here. A Svek Sveika wouldn't be Tameh. That's how Rashi I said Rabbi Eliezer, that's how Rashi teaches it over here. If you take a look in Tosfos, Safek Bia Tahir, you see? Yudam Al Safek Bia Tahir. Just a very interesting ha'ara. Tosfos says that Rashi says, Pirush Rashi, the besvek sveika pligi. The machlokes is about svek sveika, meaning when you say Safek Rishus HaYachid Tameh, is it only one Safek or even two Sveikas? Rabbi Eliezer says two Sveikas, it does not apply if there's a double doubt. And since here there's a Sveika, did I go into the field? And even if I went in, we're still not certain that I'm Tameh because I may have not touched it. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer holds its turn. And the Chachamim say even Sveika in Rishus HaYachid is Tameh. V'chein Pirush Rabbeinu Tam b'Masechta Avodah Zarah Perek Basta, the last Perek of Avodah Zarah Daf Ayin. Avo Rashi Pirush Sham B'Inyan Acher. Rashi has there a different mahalach. I'll discuss the different mahalach in a moment. V'niraliri, the time of the Rebbe Eliezer the Matayah b'Svek Sveika. Why would Rebbe Eliezer say Svek Sveika is tahir? Mishum, he says, the loy gamrinon misoita l'tami b'Rishus HaYachid ela Sveika achas kesoita, avol trei sveika loy. The Gemara teaches us a Maseches Saita Daf Chav Ches, Maseches Nida Daf Gimel. We learned this out from a Saita. What's the halacha by Saita? You remember. A husband told a wife not to be secluded in a private room with a particular man. She did it. She was in a private room. There are witnesses. But there's a doubt if she became tamei, meaning if they actually had relations or not. Nonetheless, what does the halacha consider her? Tamei. This is an Erushus Hayochid, in a private domain. So we learn from here that a Safek Tumah B'Rishus Hayochid is tamei. And it's actually a Kal V'chomer, because in her case, she's only tamei if she did it willingly and consciously. When it comes to other halachas of Tumah, even if you did it unwillingly and even unconsciously, you're still tamei. Right? Somebody's sleeping and somebody dies in the house, they're still tamei. It's not they wanted to be tamei. So tumah is much stronger. Regular tumah and tara is much stronger than when it comes to tumah in relations. Nonetheless, she's still tamei. If it's a suffix, so we learn out suffix tumah b'rishus hayachid. So Tosfos says, "Loi gamrinim misaita l'tamei l'ksveika achas kesaita." By a saita, there's one doubt that they were in a room together is not a question. That they had the potential to be together physically is not a question. The question is yes or no. We don't know. We don't know. The woman says no. Right? The witnesses just saw that they went into a secluded private room, and that's why we have to bring her to the Beis Hamikdash. If she agrees, and her husband agrees, and she drinks, she could say, "I'm not innocent," and move on from the marriage, and there's no witnesses, and nothing happens. She moves on. If she says, "I'm innocent," and I'm not tamei, it's a suffix. And until she drinks the water, that suffix is not resolved. She's considered tamei. They're not allowed to be together. And only after she drinks the water, in which the Shem HaMeferish was mixed in, does the Torah say the results will become very obvious.
Isn't it clouded by his conduct?
That's true.
So, but we still say it's a suffix.
Yeah. V'nikah ish me'avin, yeah.
So what I'm saying, we still
Yes,
say
yes, yes. Yeah. So Tosfos says it's one suffix. Aval trei sveika loy. So therefore Rebbe Lezer says if there's two sveikas, I don't have this limud from Saita. So therefore I tell you that you're tired. That's why in this case, you're tired because there's two sveikas. Rabbanon savri. Rabbanon say another vart. The kivon, the min hadina afilu b'sveika achas hoyel the ukma achas kastara, afilu hachitmei hu adina afilu b'trei sveika. The Rabbanon argue as follows. Since halachically, even with one suffix, she should be tahir. Why? Because she has a cheskas tahara, and a suffix shouldn't be moitzi from chazaka. Chazaka in this case means there's an assumption of what something is till this point. This is the status quo of how we maintain it. Right? I have a chazaka that this jacket is mine. I'm wearing it. You now say I stole it from you. You want to extricate my chazaka. You want to take it away. Bring proof. And if you cannot bring 100% proof, you cannot take it away from the chazaka, because why should we give it to you? I have it. The woman is becheskes tara. Till this point, she's assumed to be tar. We don't say that a person is tamei because we don't like them. This woman is considered tara. Doesn't mean she's perfect, but it means she has a cheskes tara. We assume that every woman is a pure woman and every man is a pure man. That's our assumption. Before. Huh?
Meaning before the
No, even in the room. They went into a private room. That doesn't mean anything. That means they went into a private room and she disobeyed her husband. It's not. So if there's a vadai, it takes away the chazaka. Obviously, no chazaka anymore. No chazaka, right? But this is not a vadai; it's a suffix. So therefore, the suffix shouldn't win. So you'll say, but there's a suffix. You're right, but the suffix shouldn't win over the chazaka. Says, since halachically, even one suffix should have not worked. She should have remained tired.
Shouldn't have taken away her chazaka.
Yes, and nonetheless, the Torah says that she's tamei. So therefore, the Rabbanan say, "Hu adina afilu b'trei sveika." So then, I don't care how many sveikas there are. So therefore, even two sveikas, exactly. So therefore, even two sveikas, they say, is tamei b'rishus hayachid.
Even 200 sveika.
Exactly.
Because you say that notwithstanding the chazaka,
Yeah.
she is tamei.
Yeah, because even one suffix shouldn't have been. If you tine it that it's a koyach of a suffix, So then Svek is much, much weaker, right? Every suffix that gets increased makes it weaker.
So then Rabbanan don't hold by Seika at all?
In this case, Svek b'Rishus Tamei. But Rebbe Lezer would hold Svek b'Rishus Hayachid is tar. I just want to say there's another mahalach, which Tosfos indicates too. And the other mahalach is that Rebbe Lezer holds that Svek b'Rishus Hayachid is Tamei. He does hold so. Like Tosfos explained according to the Rabbanan. The reason he says here it's tired is because it's a unique type of suffix. It's suffix biyah. Suffix biyah means I'm not sure he went even into the Rishus HaYachid. It's a different type of suffix. It's not it was in Rishus HaYachid and it's a question if he touched it. If it was a few sveikis in that area, then I would say tameh. This is a suffix biyah if you b'chlal entered into the realm where the tumah was. That's just another way of learning Rebbe Lezer's shitta.
It's the same word also.
Suffix biyah. That's why he uses the word suffix biyah.
Can't you say both fields are Rishus HaYachid? So he entered the field.
No, he entered a Rishus HaYachid, but not this Rishus HaYachid. Yeah, you're right. You're right. He entered a Rishus HaYachid. That's true. But not this Rishus HaYachid. Yeah. Where the Chachamim would say, according to the way the Ran is, that all the fields are considered one, Lagabe Tumah and Tara, so it's not a suffix biyah. And because it's not a suffix biyah, so therefore it's not a svek sveika, and it's not a suffix biyah any way you want to learn it. So one way of learning it, this is the machloikas. Is it a suffix or svek sveika, right? Rebbe Lezer holds svek sveika when Rishus HaYachid would be tired, and this is a svek sveika. Another way of learning it is, he holds svek sveika is tamei. That's what the Ram Chalvas says here, and other Rishonim in other places, as Tosfos indicates. And the question is about suffix biyah. It's a unique issue. Suffix biyah, he says, is tar. Suffix maga is tamei. Even svek sveikas he holds tamei. That's another mahal. What do the Chachamim say? The Chachamim say tamei. That's the first shit, Rebbe Lezer, that you don't learn. No, in other words, you don't learn from Saita, only that one suffix is tummy, not two. Where from Saita you learn that one suffix makes you tummy, but not two. Because Saita is one suffix. So Rebbe Lezer says, if there's a double doubt, you're tired. If there's a single doubt, you're tummy, just like by Saita. Come the Rabbanan, and Tosfos explains, they say no, because even one suffix shouldn't have worked.
So the last part again, say
even one suffix shouldn't have made the person tamei.
in the case
Of Saita, because she has a cheskas tara.
Rabbanan are saying that, you think?
Yeah, that's how Tosfos explains the shit of the Chachamim.
And so therefore, if we learn straight from Sota, then the person who walks into the field should remain with the chazaka.
Right. Right.
Just tell her.
But that only goes as far as biyah. It's an equivalence. The biyah of the sota with the biyah of the walking into the field. According to the
No. Let's not get confused. Tosfos is just explaining that Rebbe Lezer holds that if there's one doubt, if you're tamei in Rishus HaYachid, then you're tamei. But if it's a double doubt, meaning I'm not sure I went into the field, and even if I went into the field, I'm not sure I touched the tumah, then the person remains tahor. That's it. If there's two doubts, if there's two sveikas, meaning even if the first one even if the first one is resolved, right? I still have a second suffix.
Right.
So the second suffix, so to speak, cancels out the first suffix. So you're back to where you were, and you're a Taryadika person.
In your chazaka, but that's in the case of a Rishus HaYachid.
Yeah,
This is
Rishus HaYachid.
The case that we're dealing
This is also Rishus HaYachid.
these fields,
Or Rishus HaYachid, because it was the rainy season. That's why it says B'moisak Shamim. It's also Rishus HaYachid.
that's equivalent. Okay, that
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Yeah.
So when he says Becca over here, Rashi, he's learning.
Because
It's like
proximity of
it's
fields.
like the closed off room that she went into.
Yeah.
It's locked.
Yeah.
It sounds like Eliezer and Rabbanan arguing disagreeing two different things. One is whether stakes maker, and the other thing they're disagreeing is the Messiah of the fields. If the fields are together, or if
So the Rishonim explain what's the connection here. What's the connection to this issue? The question is, right, the mouse came into my hall or to my courtyard, my porch, my private courtyard. Do I have to check the house? What's the connection to this issue? Suffix, vexveka, what's the connection? What's the connection? It seems very strange, right? So what's the connection? The connection is that they hold that the Chachamim are metame because irrelevant of svek and irrelevant of suffix bia, they say all this doesn't apply here. You know why? Because it's all considered one field, lagabe tumah and tara. It's considered one vicinity. So therefore there's no svek, there's only one suffix. Did you touch it or not touch it? And therefore it's not a suffix bia. Did you come in? You came in.
So you got to search the house again. You got to search the whole house then.
So what would this mean? This would mean, according to Rabbi Eliezer, you wouldn't have to search the house. Because the mouse is here. The mouse is not here. It's in the hallway. The hallway is not the dining room. Right? According to the Chachamim, you would have to search the whole house. Just like here. Why? Because it's one suffix. If it's one suffix, so suffix tumah is tameh. So what would be the maskana? You have to search the house. But Rashi says, no, remember the second case. Dikas chametz is the rabbanon, sveika the rabbanon lekula. So it's taka suffix. It's taka single suffix. You're right. And we go lekula, so you don't have to. So in this case, even the rabbanon would agree because it's not a suffix tumah. Suffix tumah b'rshus hayachid. Yeah, it's not a suffix tumah b'rshus hayachid. Let's say it's taka one suffix. You're right. It's one suffix. Did I touch the tumah? Did I not touch the tumah? Not a svek sveika, not a suffix bia. So the Chachamim say tameh. Irrelevant of our opinion about svek sveika. Even if we would agree with Rabbi Eliezer, the Chachamim would say tameh. But dikas chametz is the rabbanon. It's not a suffix tumah. Suffix tumah is an issue of suffix tumah. There is tameh. It's not a suffix tumah. Suffix dikas chametz is the rabbanon. If it would be a suffix bittel, in other words, if I didn't do bittel, right? So it's a sveika d'oraisa. Then what would be the halacha? Yeah.
Seems to be that we always fall into the same every single case.
In every case, we're going back to the Rabbanon. We're going back to the Rabbanon, yeah.
We always go in.
Yeah. So now let's understand something. If a mouse came into your house with a piece of chametz, after b'dikas chametz, right? And you see it. And now it's running around, and so it doesn't stay here. If it stays here, great, just get rid of it. But it runs out. What do you have to do? For sure, we have to do b'dikas chametz here. And even if you could say, oh, maybe she ate it, even if it's a small piece of bread, that doesn't help. Because even if she ate it, it's a suffix, right? Ain't suffix moitzi midei vaday, as we learned before. The vaday is that there's chametz. The suffix is maybe she ate it, maybe she didn't eat it. Ain't suffix moitzi midei vaday, you have to do b'dikas chametz. But here's a question. Do you have to now do all the rooms in the house? She went into my kitchen. Do I now have to do the whole basement? Do I have to do the whole upstairs? That's a very interesting. That's the question that this Gemara is really addressing. It's a very practical question.
There's two speakers. One is, did the mouse eat it or not? And the second speaker is, did the mouse go around it?
Oh, very good. So the answer is, in this room, it's a vaday. In the other rooms, it's a suffix. Maybe she's there, but I don't know. Right? This room for sure got ruined. This room is not Cheskas Baduk anymore. This room has chametz. There was chametz in this room. Is it here yet? I don't know, but there was chametz in this room, right? It's like if I see my child take challah and put it in a room, and then I don't see it anymore. This room I have to check. To check under the beds, I have to check under the closet, because I know there's chametz in this room. Is it in the other room? The other room is a suffix. Maybe, maybe not. So if I did bittul, what do I learn from this Gemara? If I did bittul, I do not have to do another b'dikas chametz because it's suffix medivrei seifrim, and therefore we say that the mouse went in only to the one room where I saw it. Over there, I have to do b'dikas chametz because ain't suffix moitzi midei vaday, even though it may have eaten it, but that doesn't take out the vaday that there's chametz in this room. Other rooms is only a suffix. I checked the whole room and there's no chametz here. So if I check the whole room, there's no chametz. What does it mean? That the mouse went in somewhere else, right? Do we say that? No. Why? Because I don't know that the mouse went into another room. Maybe the mouse went back outside. Maybe the mouse went into the sewer system. Maybe the mouse went in... Right? Maybe the mouse went outside where you don't have to be boidik. I don't know. Maybe the mouse went to the subterranean levels. I don't know. That's what a suffix means. Is it possible there's chametz in the house? Of course it is. That's why it's a sveika de rabbanon l'kula. The suffix doesn't fall off. This is the yesod that we learn from this Gemara. It becomes very big vart, very important vart. According to most Mefarshim and Poskim who compare the Chatzar to a Cheder. In other words, the Chatzar means the vicinity of the house. My Rishus. And I should just add, as the Poskim say, Shulchan Aruch Harav elaborates on this in Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Lamed Ches. If the bread was small, in a way that you can assume that maybe the mouse ate it. In other words, sometimes you have a big piece of bread, it's obvious she ate maybe a little bit, but the rest she put away. But if it's so small that you could say that she ate it up now before the Zman of Bir Chametz, then even if you didn't do bittul, then it's still good. Why? Because it's a svek. The halacha is, one suffix is lakula for the Rabbana, not for Minat Torah. But for Minat Torah, svek is lakula. So here we have a very interesting vart. If it's such a small piece of bread that you can assume that maybe, I don't know for sure, I'm not a prophet, but maybe the mouse ate it up before the Zman that you're not allowed to have chametz anymore, even if you didn't do bittul, you don't have to do another b'dika. You know why? Even if you can't do bittul anymore. For example, it's Erev Pesach afternoon, you can't do bittul anymore. Why? It's a svek. What's a svek? Maybe the mouse never took it into that room. From this room, where I saw it, here I have to do. But here it went outside. That's suffix number one. Suffix number two, even if the mouse took it into that room, maybe she ate it. And there's nothing left. So therefore, whenever you have two sveikas, you follow the lenient alternative, even when it comes to a sveika d'oraisa. But if it's a big piece that it couldn't eat it before the time of Bir Chametz, then you got to do b'dik in the whole house. You got to do b'dik in the whole house because only one suffix. Verstehst?
If it's a big piece,
Yeah.
you have trouble until you find it.
If it's a big piece, you got to look. Oh, case number five.
I have a grandson who, I don't think there's any suffix that the chametz would go all over the place.
So with your grandson, it's a vaday. Okay. Next case, gewaltig. All. Here's the problem. All, you went in, ubadak. All, not you went in. The mouse went in with a piece of bread into the bdika, into the house that was checked. Ubadak, and you checked. V'lo yashkech. And you didn't find it. That's the next problem. We're now up to scenario number 5. What happens now? The mouse went into your house with chametz, so you got to do another bdika, right? You got to do another bdika. For sure in this room. We're talking even with the Rabbi, we're talking a regular case, you saw chametz, it's not no sveikas, you got to do bdika. Chazina de shakel, as we said before. You did a bdika, you did a second bdika. What's the problem? You couldn't find it. V'lo yashkech, he didn't find it. You mamash did not find the chametz. What do we say now? Rashi. All ha'achbar nichnas l'bayis l'fanenu badak bal l'bayis acharav v'lo yashkech. What do you say? Here you have a whole new type of problem. There was chametz, for sure. You did bdikas chametz, you don't find it. Plukta the Reb Meir. Rabbanon, this we could derive from an argument between Reb Meir and the Rabbanon in the following Mishnah. That's now we learned a Mishnah. Okay, here's the case. There were 3 mounds of rocks. One of them, somebody buried a corpse. Or a little piece, a kazayas, even the volume of an olive, of a corpse of a mace, in one of them. Problem is we don't know which one. We know somebody said they buried in one of the 3 mounds a little piece of a mace. So you check through. You want to clean it up, right? Kids play here. People hang out here. Koyanim sit here. This is where they do their barbecue Sunday afternoon. So therefore, you don't want to get rid of the mace. So you check through all the 3 piles of the heaps of stones, and you don't find it. What happens now? The Tanan, we have a Mishnah. Anything that's becheskas tumah, meaning if it has the assumption that it's tameh, it remains in that assumption until you find out where the tumah is. Since you could not find the tumah, so therefore all 3 piles of stones are considered tameh, and if anybody, for example, eats his karbonis or truma on top of it, it becomes Tamei. Rashi, Kol Dover Shebecheskes Tuma, B'Masechtes Nida. Gal Tamei Shenesarvim Shnei Galen Tahirin. You have a heap of stones that you know is Tamei, and it gets mixed in with another 2 heaps, meaning you're not sure which one. Batku Echad Men V'Nimtza Tahir. You check one, and it's Tahir. Who Tahir? Shnaim Tmeim. So then the other 2 are Tamei. Shnayim Amatzan Tahirin. Hein Tahirin Vashlishi Tamei. You check 2, they're both pure, so now the 3rd one is Tamei. Great. Shloshton Amatzan Tahirin. Now you checked all 3, they're all Tahir. What do? Fascinating. Kulam Tmeim. Now all become Tamei. So you see what happens? When you checked 1, that was Tahir, because you found nothing. When you checked 2, 2 were Tahir, because you found nothing. You attribute the Tumah to the 3rd. When you checked all 3, now what happens? All 3 now become Tamei again.
So why do you cut the third one? You want to parse the...
You want to get rid of it, yeah. You want to get rid of it. So you see what happened? I ate a carbon here Sunday morning, and the carbon is done. You did it Sunday afternoon because the guy checked the 3rd. Retroactively, the first 2 become Tamei again. Why? Until you find out. It remains Tamei. Its chazaka of Tumah remains. The status quo cannot be extricated until you identify it and you get rid of it. Chachamim say no. Boidik bekarka, check till the ground. V'chayfer dig, atri agia l'sela, until you reach a boulder, a rock, where you can't go deeper. Oile karka psula, or virgin earth, meaning it was never dealt with. Shaloi zazim im kaima leilim, was never moved. V'im loy matz, if you haven't found it, in all 3, toilin v'oimrim ba'oire v'notla ba'ach v'notla. A raven came, a mouse came, a weasel came, a polecat came. So according to the Chachamim, what would be our case? You go and you watch the mouse bringing chametz to your house. You check the whole room and there's no chametz. So the mayor would say, sorry, there was chametz here. This remains a room that has cheskas chametz until you find it. Got to do another b'dika. Chachamim would say, no, there's no chametz here. There's no chametz here. Maybe a raven came, maybe another mouse came, maybe the mouse left, maybe the mouse ate it. Here, even a mayor would be moida. Why? It's not a suffix tumah. It's not a suffix of the carbon is tamei. What is it, a suffix? It's a suffix b'dikas chametz d'Rabbanan, and therefore you would go lekula. Since you did not find it, so you're good. You're good. Yeah. You want to know what we're going to do, what we're supposed to do? Right.
Too heavy to deal with.
In other words, we're assuming here that the mouse ate it. You didn't find it because the mouse ate it. Or took it out, whatever. When that was, huh? We know for sure there was chametz and I never found it. So what do? So the chametz say it's fine. You check, there's no chametz, great. Rashi says even Reb Meir would be moida, since it's a suffix. We're not sure that there's chametz here, right? Maybe yes, maybe not. Even though there was a chazaka. So you go l'kula. You don't have to do another b'dik. You already did actually another b'dik. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
There is no third b'dik.
Right. What should you do? You're saying. What should you do? There's nothing to do. There's nothing. You're saying what would be the Meir's shit by b'dikas chametz? There's nothing to do, right? What would be the huh?
Put the money in the pushkar of Meir.
Yeah. Take a look in Tosfos. All ubadak v'layashkach plukta the Reb Meir v'Rabbanan. You see? Zok Tosfos. Tema. Afilu Reb Meir the amal loylami b'cheskas tuma v'nafke min elataros shenasu al gabav hachigam b'dika kibun shabadak v'laymatza ma yasa im yatzrichu livdik pam shniya nami loyimtza. Okay, so what did Reb Meir say? Sorry, there's chametz. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Do a b'dika second time? Okay, I didn't find. A third time? So now the rest of Pesach, I should just do b'dikas chametz in this room, right? Because loyal b'cheskas chametz. What do you want me to do? I did b'dika, you're right. What do you want me to do? Over there, you're saying that the carbon is tamei. I got it. What do you want me to do? What's the nafkamina? if Reb Meir would apply it. Rashi Pirish, Rashi says,
Should have had to get Mishnah. It's the whole Indian.
okay, but so you do bdika. You did
That's it.
bdika,
Yes,
okay.
you did. That's
So Rashi Pirish Tafil Reb Meir, even according to Reb Meir, right? What do you say? Amar Eimer Achbar Achle. That even Reb Meir would say that you say a mouse ate it. The bdika's chametz ain't element of rabbanon because you could do bittul and therefore you don't have to do bdika. That's what Rashi says, which means I don't have a problem. Taka Reb Meir agrees. You're right. You're right. Reb Meir Taka agrees. It's a theoretical question. What would he say? He agrees. It's because chametz rabbanon, so it's not an issue. Fine. What would he say? I don't know what he would say. It's irrelevant what he would say because it's not negay. Because over there it's negay because the carbon has become tummy. The tire has become tummy. Because the behed yamrin and pluked the Reb Meir rabbanon. But it doesn't seem right because when the Gemara introduces this case, the Gemara says, "Beplukta Reb Meir v'Rabbanan." This depends on the machlokes. That means Reb Meir doesn't agree. There's a machlokes here. So therefore, Tosfos argues with Rashi and says, "V'yashloima d'mayri b'shaloi bitla." It's talking about there was no bitl. So b'dika is min ha'Torah. V'ka'amar de Reb Meir loy sagi b'bdika, kiven de loy ashkech v'have b'sofik lav de loy yemotzi tzarich levatla. That's the word. According to the Meir, he's saying bdika will not be enough. Usually, minat Torah, bdika is enough. But here, because you're going to be over perhaps on a lav of bal yimatzeh if you only do bdika because you didn't find it, and la'olam hu b'cheskos say that there's a cheskes chametz. So this is a case where you'll have to do bittul minat Torah even though you did bdika. Where the chachamim say no, bdika will suffice because you checked and you didn't find it. You say that the mouse ate it. That would be the vart. Tzarich levatloi, and this sagi afilu Reb Meir, and Reb Meir would agree it's fine because there's nothing else to do. You did bdika, you didn't find it. You did bittul, and now the bdika is only midrabanan. The loy ayri ela besafik tume deiraisa. Aval hacha the bdika's chametz derabanan shari. Even Reb Meir would say you don't have to do another bdika because since you did bittul, so the bdika is only midrabanan. Reb Meir says your chayshish it's there. That's only with a suffix tume. That's deiraisa. Your chayshish, it's always there. Oh, but over here, since bdika is the rabbanon, therefore you don't have to be chayshish. You go lekula. After you checked it and you did not find it. But you would have to do bittul.
So the chazaka never changed, even though you had to do bdika? Because we're talking about
Right. So that's why you have to do bittul. You have to do bittul. Where the chachamim would say you don't have to do bittul. That's how Tosfos learns.
Second time only or for the first time?
The bittul for this chametz. Bittul for this chametz. Bittul for this
the
chametz.
Chachamim say that,
Yeah.
that bdika is enough because the chazaka didn't
Exactly.
find anything?
Exactly.
The Meir would say you have to do bittul.
Right. You have to do bittul minat Torah.
Didn't do bittul yet.
Because Bal Yamotze, right. Or bittul a second time for this chametz. If it's this man that you could do bittul.
So all these previous cases we didn't have to do bittul, right? Only in this case you have to do bittul?
No, the previous cases,
You only bdika suffices, right? If you have to do bdika.
it depends, yeah. If you do b'dika minat Torah, b'dika would be good, yeah.
Without bittul. But in this case, dafka, when,
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be a gewaldige chiddush, that according to the chachamim, even if there's no bittul, you're good to go. Why are you good to go? Why are you good to go? Because you did b'dikas chametz. There was a cheskes chametz. I know. I saw the chametz. Right? I did b'dika. That's it. I'm good. You didn't find it. So where is it? Right? Where is it? The answer is ate it. Took it outside. Buried it somewhere in a place that I won't find it on Pesach. So even without bittul, I wouldn't have to do another b'dika. Gewaldige vart. Because I did already a b'dika for this
You
mouse.
say that your chazaka was reinstated, or you have a new chazaka? The chachamim say that you have to do b'dika.
You're good. A new cheskes baduk, and we say for sure the mouse ate it up.
So it was lifted when the mouse came in.
It's not a sveika d'oraisa. L'chayda say it's a suffix d'oraisa. It's not a sveika d'oraisa. Why? Because since you didn't find it, we trust you. It's not here. Why is it not here? Because he ate it, or he schlepped it away somewhere outside, or downstairs, or under the floor.
The first disaster is gone. The cheskes budik first time is gone. The ruin.
That was my question. You're muksa in until the mouse comes in. And when you see the mouse come in with chumetz, then according to the Rabbanim, you know that another b'dika is required. And my question really was, is that first chazaka retroactively reinstated. You're saying no, it's a new chazaka.
Right. Nu chazaka.
The first one was ruined.
A nu chazaka, yeah. Next. Oh, you went in. Not you went in. The mouse went in. Ubadak, you checked. Va'ashkech. And you found a piece of chametz. Okay? I have a huge house, a huge basement. I saw a mouse going with chametz. It runs wherever it runs. I check and I find a piece of bread somewhere. Do I have to search the rest of the room, or I can assume that was the bread? If I see for sure that was the bread, it's not a question. But I don't see it. In other words, do I have to finish the bdika in the rest of the places?
You know, you want to correlate the mouse and the bread.
Yeah. So if I see the bread, then I have no problem. If I know what it looks like, I have no problem. But I don't.
What's the case? This is a new case.
A mouse ran into bread into my house, right? And then it's gone. I come into the house and I find a piece of bread. Do I say that's the piece of bread?
Does it make it even better?
Or I have to do bdika everywhere where the achbar may be?
I mean, why does it even make it any better than the previous where you don't find it at all? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise it should be the same.
Yeah. Rashi says, Ol badak va'ashkach, nichnas achbar b'fonenu, badak balabayis achara va'ashkach prusa, ve'eni yedeyim zuhi im lav. Now if it's this, good, you're great. You did your bdika, now you found this, you can go home. Well, you are home, but you don't have to do anything else. Or we say, no, I don't know, how do I know if this is it? I have to do bdika wherever the achbar may have taken the bread.
This is still the first bdika, not the second.
The second bdika.
So the second bdika. So
The second
again,
bdika.
So again, you could say the first you didn't find anything. The first bdika.
The first bdika you found, you didn't find, it's irrelevant.
Well, yeah, no, you found it was totally chametz clean.
It was clean, yeah.
And then you look again after the akbar came.
Now you look again and you find a piece of bread. Do I
You
say,
assume that it's that.
or maybe I can't know, maybe I have to finish the bdika in the entire room.
Even though you didn't find anything.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Or if I didn't do bittul in the entire
I
house.
still don't understand. What does it mean that Eshkach, he forgot what?
Ashkech is not forgot, it's found.
Oh.
Vashkech means he found. He found a piece of chametz, and you don't know if it's this piece of chametz that the achbar brought in, and therefore I could see he's doing bdika now. The achbar came into a room. The whole room needs bdika, right? The whole room needs bdika, right? And if you didn't do bittul, the whole house needs bdika, as we said, right? The whole house needs bdika. Unless you can assume for the other rooms that it was a small piece of bread and it ate it, as we explained earlier from Siman Taf Lamed Ches. But let's say the whole room.
How does he know that it's bread? Because the bread and the chametz look the same in those days. He knows for sure it came from a pile of bread, or he just knows it's bread. The Gemara assumes it.
He assumes, we know that the achbar took chametz. It ran into the house. We may have seen it. I now walk into my house and I see a piece of bread, but I don't know if that was the piece of bread that the mouse brought in. So you could say, oh, you're done. You don't have to do bdika. Great. You walked into the front door. There was a piece of bread. Well, you say, no. The mouse ran through your dining room. You got to check the whole room. Got to check the whole floor. Got to check all the places here. So the Gemara plucked huh?
Means you missed it the first time.
Perhaps. Or maybe somebody else brought in chametz. Doesn't mean you missed it the first time. Could be different scenarios. Plukte the Rabbi with Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. It's a machlokes of Rabbi and Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. The Tanya will learn to Braisa. So the shenevet bakever. If you have a field and you know that a person was buried here, but we don't know where, the place got lost. Meaning we forgot. There were no markers, or the markers were removed, and we don't know where the caver is. In the previous place of the bika, we know where the caver is. We're just not sure the person went in to that field and hovered over that place. Here, we know for sure where he went. That's the difference. In the previous case, we don't know where he went. We knew where the caver was. Here, we know where he went, but we don't know where the caver is. Hanichnas l'soich, anybody who walks into this field, tameh, he's tameh. Why? Because he may have hovered over a grave, so it's a suffix tumah. Nimtza b'kever, what if after a while somebody's plowing the field and they find the caver? They find the skeleton. Hanichnas l'soicha tahir. From now, anybody who walks into the field, unless you hovered over that space, you're tahir. Shani Yomer, because we say Kaver Sha'avad, who Kaver Shanimtza. The Kaver that was lost is the Kaver that was found. Divrei Rabbi. Beautiful svara. Rabbi says, I found a grave. I don't know which grave is this. Is this a new grave or is this the last grave? So I say, since we know there's a grave here and we found a grave, even though we're not sure that's the grave, we assume that's the grave that was lost, and therefore we could trust now that every other part of the field besides this grave is tar. Yesterday when you walked in, you were tameh, because we didn't find the grave, but now we found the grave, so now we can mark it off, and this is good. You got to scrutinize the entire field, and only if you don't find any other grave, then you could say that the field is tahir besides this grave. What would it mean with chametz? In chametz, according to Rabbi, you got to assume that the chametz that you found is the chametz that you lost. You know that there's lost chametz. The achbar came in with chametz. That's the chametz. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Shimon ben Gamliel would say you got to do bdikah. You got to do bdikah for the whole house. Your mamash have to do bdikah for the whole house.
Continue searching.
Continue searching. Rashi, Avad Bakever, ein yedu eichen mekaymer. Nimtze Bakever lachas man vein yeduim zakever Avad Ba. So according to the Shimon ben Gamliel, you have to check the entire house again. Hiniach Teisha, you left over 9 pieces of chametz, umatza eser, and you find 10. You find 10. What do you do now? You checked chametz, you found 9 pieces. You come back, Erev Pesach in the morning, you want to burn it. Oh, there's a 10th piece. Shalom aleichem, aleichem shalom. Plukta de Rabbi v'Rabbanan. Fascinating. Machloek between Rabbi and Rabbanan. The Tanya. Listen to the case. Hiniach mana. You have a mana. A mana is 100 zuz. Let's say $100. It was unique money. What type of money was it? It was money that is holy because you took your fruits of Meiser Sheni. The fruits, that 10% of it, you have to bring to Yerushalayim. You conferred those fruits on money. This money is holy. Now you're going to bring it to Yerushalayim, buy food there and eat it there. And you put it away in a special drawer in your house. $100, 100 zuzim. Umatza masayim. You come back and you find 200. What do you do now? Chulin u'maiser sheni mu'ravin zebazeh divrei Rabbi. Rabbi says, I assume the original 100 remained. However, somebody or you, not realizing, put in another $100 there. So now you have $100 of chulin and $100 of maiser sheni mixed. In other words, in this pile, there's 100 zuz of chulin and 100 zuz of maiser sheni, which doesn't mean you have to lose the money. There's a way to do it. What do? What you do is, Rashi says, Mu'ravin, Mevi Sloyim B'Shavim Mana V'Omer, Kol Makam Shein Moyis Maiser Sheni Erein Mechulalim Ala Sloyim Alolo Ma'ila Sloyim Yerushalayim. Bring another 100 zuz and say, whichever 100 zuz in this drawer is holy, let it be conferred on this money. The 200 zuz in your drawer go, and you could do whatever you want with it, and now you have a new 100 that you bring to Yerushalayim. That's Rabbi. Chachamim Maimrim, no. Hakal Chulin. We assume that all the 200 zuz in this drawer is chulin. And the original 100 zuz that was holy, that was ma'aser, you took. Fascinating halacha. You removed. It's not here. By mistake or somebody else took it.
It was there.
It was there. Why? The Chachamim hold a person never mixes money of ma'aser chulin, of ma'aser with money of chulin. Therefore, in this case, we assume If there's another $100 there, he probably forgot. He took it and he hid it somewhere else, and this is new money. This 200 is new money. If he finds it, great. If he doesn't find it, he doesn't find it. Okay, but this money now is chulin. This money is chulin.
So it means it's for sure there is chulin in there.
In other words, it's a fascinating thing, because using mayos of Meiser Sheni for your own purposes is a biblical prohibition. Nonetheless, because people never put the two types of money together, so we assume as a certainty, even though it's a biblical prohibition, we assume as a certainty that the first money was taken away. He did not mix mundane money with it. Either there's $200 there, it's $200 new dollars, which is mundane. It's not Meiser Sheni.
Is that because he has an ownership interest in the Meiser Sheni? And for example, if it was Kachin.
Take a look. Rashi Hakal Chulin Hamane Nut Nota. The first 100 he took. Ve'elu huvu acharikain. Ve'gabe chametz nami leRabbanon hates shehiniach einan kan. Ve'tzarich liv de kol habayis shemagerim chuldes ve'esra nimtzoyis ish acharei v'yan kan. The comparison is interesting. Rabbi will say, you know why there's 10 pieces? Because somebody else brought his chametz and he put it near your pile. The Chachamim say people don't hang up their chametz near somebody else's chametz. People protect their chametz very nicely. People protect their egos very nicely. I keep my chametz. You know how people are very careful with their chametz. So if my chametz is near your chametz, it's something else completely. We say that the 9 were taken away, and the 10 is actually a new entity, which means you're missing 9 pieces of chametz somewhere in your house. Rabbi said, you just got an addition. Fine, burn 10. Chachamim say, just like Rabbi says, another 100 was added. Chachamim say, no. The first 100 is gone. It's 2 new 100. The 10 pieces of chametz are new pieces. Where are the 9? Weasels took them, or children took them. It's irrelevant. People, not people.
You just found 9.
You found 10.
No, wait, you found 9.
No, you left 9, you found 10.
I know 10. Well, what's the use?
No, you went ahead. You went to case, you went to next case. We're holding case 6. There can be this. Yeah. In other words, yeah. We are certain that people will not put their chametz with other people's chametz. They're very protective of it. Just like by Meiser Sheni. They don't want it to get mixed in. People take their chametz very seriously, because if you have this chametz, you're over. And it's tashbisu. So therefore, I make sure that it doesn't get mixed with yours. I make my own place. So if I put mine near yours, how did it come there? Why is it hanging? Why is it there? Pshat is, I came and it was a place where I could put my chametz on top of the dresser, whatever it is. What happened with the first chametz? It was gone. Which means this is a whole new set of chametz. According to this, Rabbi says you don't have to check the house again. According to the Chacham, you have to check the whole house again. Why? I'm afraid that the pieces that you found are not the original pieces, and the original pieces are gone. What if you left 10 pieces and you found 9? Hainu Seifa. This is the end of the brisa. What's the end of that brisa? The Tanya. Hiniach Masayim Zuz. If you left and you draw 200 zuz of Meiser Sheni, umatza mana, and then you only find 100. Mana munach mana mutal. Divrei Rabbi. Rabbi says, I assume 1 mana was left and 1 mana was taken. So the mana, the 100 zuz that are there, are for Meiser Sheni. Chachamim ma'imrim no hakal chulin. Since you didn't find the money, that you left, we assume that all the money is mundane. Just like in the first case. What was the first case? You left 100 and you found 200. Rebbe says 100 was added. Chachamim say, no. 200 were added. The first 100 was gone. The second case is the opposite. You put 200 and you found 100. Rebbe says, yes, you took out 100, but the 100 that's there, we assume is the original 100 of Meiser Sheni. The Chachamim say, absolutely not. All the money now is chulin. What happened to the original 200? The original 200 is gone. Again, because they hold that a person will not separate 1 mana from Meiser Sheni from another mana of Meiser Sheni. A person will not do it. And since you find there only 100, we cannot assume that the person himself separated one from the other until he comes to Yerushalayim, and therefore we say with certainty that he took both hundreds and he put it somewhere else. He just forgot about it. And now he put another 100 zuz here. And he just forgot what he did.
Can't use it the next year.
So b'meila the Chachamim say, this $100 you could use for whatever you want. It's a gewaldige leniency. It means you could use this 100 for whatever you want. Rabbi says, no, you're missing 100, but this 100 is Meiser Sheni. How does this now apply to the chametz? According to Rabbi, when you had 10 and you found 9, what do you say? That one is missing. One is missing. But the 9 that you found are the original 9. So now you have to look for one piece. According to the Chachamim, we say no. If you put 10 and you found 9, what's pshat? The pshat is it's not the originals anymore. And because it's not the originals, you got to check the whole house for 10 pieces that are missing.
So you need to put another 10. You need to redo, basically.
In other words, just like by Meiser Sheni, we say a person will not separate one from the other until he comes to Yerushalayim. So if you find 100 without the other 100, you say they're both gone and this is new. By chametz also, a person will not come at some point and separate chametz from each other. You make sure to keep them together. And therefore, if you find only 9 pieces, this is so strange. And what do we assume? We assume that a weasel or a child came and took away the 10 pieces, and somebody brought 9 new pieces, which means you have to now search your house for 10 new pieces of chametz. Fascinating.
Wait a second.
According to Rabbi, just look for one. You put 10, you found 9, look for one piece of chametz and you're good.
No, that makes no sense. Because when I put 10 pieces, I put them in the silver foil or whatever it is. I know exactly how they look. And I found exactly those 9. I just didn't find them.
Then it's fine. If you know that, then you're good. If you have a siman and a tvias ayin, then you're good. We're talking about you don't know. You're right. Just like with the money. If you had a special siman on the money that it's Meiser Sheni, then you're good. We're talking about you didn't know. It looks exactly the same. You're right. If you studied your chametz and you have exact siman, you're right.
A year later, you can't use that nice one. You didn't bring it to Yerushalayim. And later on, a year later, you bring it.
You could.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
Why can't you say you took half now and you left the other?
Because a person
next
doesn't
year?
do that. You just don't do that. It's too dangerous. It's too risque. It's
He doesn't
money.
wanna leave Meiser
You don't want to
Sheni's
leave
house.
Meiser Sheni around, and you don't want to separate. Now, Tosfos says a very interesting aura here. Another moment. So Rabbi says you just have to look for one. The Rabbi l'tamei the Amar hu kever shavad hu kever shenimtza. Rabbi is the one who said that the kever that you lost is the kever that you found. The kivin shematza echad ain't tzarich livdik. So Rabbi says once you found one piece, you don't say maybe it's another piece and you're still looking for the 10th piece. You say that's the piece that you lost. In other words, we're going back to the previous machlokes and applying that detail here as well. So it works very nice. Consistent. Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan, yeah. Ache yimtza eser, ache motzas, kamei de perish hakundas. He has to look for 10. He has to look for 10 and find it. He has to look mamish for all the 10.
For a new 10, or is it 9 you already found?
Yeah, he has to look for a new 10 pieces. And these are 9, so he has to look until he's going to find 10 pieces. In other words, even if they hold like Rabbi by the grave, that if you find one grave, you don't have to look for a new one, right? Over there, it's fine because you found what you lost, right? You found the grave, so you can assume it's the original grave. But here, you left 10 pieces, and you found 9. And we assume that the 10 were dragged away because you don't separate the two.
Why do they bring in the name of Rabbanan, whereas before it was Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel?
No, that was a different machloikas. We're just saying, according to Rabbi,
According to that, but the din here would be that he has to search for the 10 pieces, and the din over there was that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said that he had to search the whole field.
you're right. So according to Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, you would have to search everywhere.
I'm asking, are we using the Rabbanan here in lieu of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, even though we are
Right, but you could say that the Rabbanan here hold like Rebbe over there. As long as you find your 10 pieces, you're good. And we assume those are the 10 pieces that we are searching for. Umayri shekol hakikros kshurim zebazah. An interesting comment. All the breads were tied to each other, like they were in a bag tied. nodded. Dumya de plukte the Rebbe v'Rabbanan the Beperek Kama the Beitza Amrinan Machloikes bekisim kshurim. Avok she'en kshurim divrei hakal mana munach mana mutum. We explained in Masechta Beitza that the Machloikes about this money is when the 200 zuz were tied up with each other. And then the separation becomes very strange. But if they're completely separate, we wouldn't say this halacha. So if you have 10 pieces,
That's the simon you mentioned.
yeah. So if you have 10 pieces and they're completely separate, and then you find 9, we say one was separated. But b'shas they're tied to each other, right? B'shas they're tied to each other, now the separation is strange, and therefore the Chachamim hold that if one piece is missing, you only find 9. You don't say one piece is missing, you say it's a completely new batch. Even though in this case you can't blame mice. Why? Because why would mice take one and leave the rest? It's not what mice do. So he says talinon biktanim. You can still attribute it. You could still attribute it to children, and that's why Rabbi could still hold that it's one. So Mela, this would be the machloikas between Rabbi and the Chachamim. Okay, and then the Gemara continues. Daf Yud Amud Beis, the last case of these series, which we will continue Be'ezer Hashem and conclude tomorrow. And yes, the Maggid Mishnah. I know. I keep on. Okay.
What's the Rambam that we're going to be looking at?
Yeah. I thought we'll get to it, but
I don't think I have that sheet. What's the site for that?
Hilchas Chametz U'Matzah Perek Beis.
The question I had was on section column, you could transfer the kedusha of the Meiser Sheni.
The Meiser Sheni money, yes.
But if it was true kachim, you couldn't have it tomorrow? Is that you're allowed?
Right. A carbonus you can't exchange, but Meiser Sheni is basically 10% of my produce in year 1 and year 2.
I get that. I'm asking about the Tamura, because in the other case of Karbonis, you haven't affected it. You've got 2 Karbonis now that you have to bring, right? But in this case, you're allowed to transfer the Kedushas Meiser Sheni.
Yeah, you could.
And that's just in the money of Meiser Sheni.
Right.
In Meiser Sheni itself. If I had the fruits, could I do that?
Yes, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. In fact, Tosfos writes that when Rashi says that you have to take another $100 and you confer the kedusha of one of, Rebbe says that you have mixed 200. You left 100, you find 200, so you have mixed. So you confer one of these on another 100. So Tosfos says you don't have to do that. You know why? You don't have to bring in a third 100 from this set itself. You can do it. Yeah, take 100 and say.
Where does he say that?
Take a look in the Tosfos. Chulin u'Meiser Sheni mu'ravim zebazeh. You see? So he says, Pirish HaKuntres, Yavi Sloyim b'shaveh mana. Bring Sloyim that are worth 100. V'ayme, you should say, Kol makom shehu Mois Meiser Sheni, yihu mechalalim al Mois halalu. Wherever there's money of Meiser Sheni, can be conferred on this money. So Tosfos says, Ubichinam Pirish Kain. This is in vain. Why? Diminayu gufayu oyayachal likach shir Mois Meiser. Take from these 200 themselves. Take the amount of 100 and say, if I got the right 100, great. If not, wherever they are in this draw, they should be conferred on this money. So you're great. Because this money now becomes the new Meiser Sheni money, one of the 100, and the rest becomes chulin. So whichever way, if you had mazel and you got the right 100, great. And if not, it became the new 100. So why does Rashi have to say you bring a new 100? There's no need. It's a waste. And he says, Rashi has another question, and that is, Rashi says that you take the mana and you bring sloyim b'shavim mana b'peirik hazav b'betzi amrinim. We say a different question. Yeah, tiva loy mechalalin.
First of all, it's not the same. Maybe it's not 200 bills. It's not 2 bills, 100 each. Maybe it was like 20, 20, 20, 20. You don't know which one exactly. So you do actually need theoretically a third 100 and say this is the whole thing. And then
No, let's say you have 10 20s, right? So Tosfos says take 5
Say
20s
520s and say,
and say if this is Meiser Sheni, great, and if not,
for sure.
if not, I'm gonna even if for sure, whatever, not for sure, but even if there's a doubt, you confer wherever the Meiser Sheni is this in this draw. Let its kedusha be conferred on these 5 20s, and now it becomes Meiser Sheni. Why do you have to bring in a new 5 20s? That's what Tosfos is asking on Rashi. It's not a. He says bechinam. It's just in vain. You don't need to go so far, huh?
Is he talking over there about which is the currency?
Yeah. Matbeya on matbeya. Yeah.
So in other words, one might be
Tiva ativa.
one might be one might be the money, and one might be the commodity.
Right. Yeah.
Is that what he's talking about here?
Yeah.
Is it possible that you put 100 and found a $200 bill, not $100 bill, $200 bill?
Well, then for sure it's different.
Then for sure he needs to.
Then for sure it's different. Yeah.
Then for sure he needs to bring a third 100 to transfer.
No, if you put $100 bill and that's gone,
Yeah.
and you have a $200 bill, then you know for sure that it's not Meiser Sheni. Then there wouldn't be an argument.
So that would be an
The argument would be if you find another $100 bill, and Tosfos says, and then there would be an argument. The Rabbi says it's mixed, and Chachamim say no, it's not mixed. It's all chulin, because you don't mix. The first 100 is gone. You understand?
Now places make sense more.
Or the other way around, you put 200 and then you find 100.
Then it's different.
Okay, so Rabbi says the 100 is Meiser,
Nice.
and the Chachamim say absolutely not. You'd not take one. And Tosfos says it's talking about in the case that they were tied together. Because they were tied together, you wouldn't separate one from the other, and therefore we have to assume that the first 200 are gone, and the new 100 is chulin. So the same is true when it comes to chametz. You put 10 and you find 9, right? So the Chachamim say you would, if that's tied together, you would not separate it. You would not separate it. So we are afraid. We are really, really afraid that what happens, and we're certain about this. People will not separate chametz from each other.
Don't never tie the chametz. We actually, the whole idea of 10 pieces, we put it around.
No,
So
once you
more
find
tie.
it and you put it away, and you put away 10 pieces, and they're connected together, they're tied together, and now you only find 9. So this is a very strange phenomenon.
You mean before the beer, you found only 9, so you start worrying into.
So Rabbi says 1 piece was taken. Go look for it.
Yeah.
The Chachamim say no. The Chachamim say that all 10 pieces were probably taken, and this is a whole new set of chametz. It's a whole new set of 9 pieces. You have to look for 10 pieces. Just like by Meiser Sheni, they say that both $100 were taken, and this is a new $100. You're not looking at half of the original pile. You're looking at a new pile. You're looking at new money. Here also, you're looking at new chametz.
But now, because it's probably it's a suffix derabbanan, we're probably passing like Rabbi, right? Because Chacham is like a little extreme in this case. I mean, more humoristic than Rabbi.
So la halacha we say like this: if you put 10 pieces of chametz and they're tied, and you found only 9, and of course you don't recognize, it's very important. If you recognize that the 9 are the original pieces, then we don't have an argument. We're not, we're being rational. But then the halacha is you have to check your whole house again, or till you find 10 pieces, because we say that what you left, children took away, or mice took away.
So we're passing like Rabbanon, basically.
I mean, Lamaisa, we know where we put today. People put down 10 pieces. Huh?
So halacha goes according to Rabbanon.
And there's a reason for it. The svara is that since it's tied together, it's very hard for a child to untie the knot and take 1 piece.
It's not a simon because of a simon.
No, that's the point of Tosfos, that it's tied together. If it's not tied together, you could just say a mouse took 1 piece, or a child took 1 piece, even if not a mouse, because a mouse doesn't take 1 piece. But if it's tied together, right, so that it's in many cases, it's impossible for them to open the knot and get it out. You tie the bag, and you see that there's only 9 pieces. So you don't blame it they can't untie the knot, so you don't say 1 piece was taken out. So what do you say? If you recognize the 9 pieces, you say 1 piece was taken out. It was somebody who knows how to open the knot. But if not, what do you say? You say that they took the entire bag because they could not untie the knot, And therefore, even if there was bittul, you have to be boidik the whole house, or you have to find 10 pieces, even if there was bittul. In other words, this is not an issue of sveika de rabbanu lakula, because we're assuming it's not a suffix. It's a vadai. It's not a vadai mamish, but it's close to a vadai.
Wait a second. Nine
It's a
pieces.
fascinating halacha.
Wait a second.
Even if there was no bittul, you have to do another bedika. Even, that's clear. Rashi doesn't say here we go lakula. No, you have to do another bedika.
Same as the Rabbanon, I think, okay.
Even if it's the rabbana.
So that doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore because we assume that it's a vadai, it's not a suffix. Just like by Meiser Sheni, it's a vadai, it's not a suffix. Even though it's a derabbanan, it's not a sveika anymore. It's not a suffix.
It's not even a suffix, because you say for sure it's a new,
Yeah.
wait,
If they weren't tied together, then you just have to look for one piece. You have to just look for one piece. Okay? Why do you have to look for one piece? Because
But if
that's
they
what.
tie together, how much more so you have to look for one piece? Because you tied them together. There was 10. Now it's 9. I mean, it's who we're fooling here. It's not another 9. It's the same 9. Just it's actually the same 10. It's just 9 there.
Huh?
If we tie it together,
Yeah.
then we
Okay, so now let's do the opposite. If you put 9 and you find 10, okay. So here, weiter, you put 9 and you find 10. What do we say?
and it's tied.
Huh?
It's tied. It's tied.
No, here it's not. It's not negeya. It says here it doesn't matter. Even if it's not tied, you have to go and check the whole house or check for 9 pieces. Again, even though you did bittul. Why? Because we're not going to say these are the first 9 pieces and somebody else brought a 10th piece. Why? Because people do not put their chametz near somebody else's chametz. They designate a place for themselves. They don't want it to get mixed. So therefore we assume that a person came with 10 pieces and put it here because there was nothing here. What happened to the first 9? They were taken. Who took them? Children. Or maybe rodents, or maybe animals. So you have to check the whole house or check till you find 9
We
pieces.
don't say cotton
Why?
piece there.
Yeah, why don't we say that the cop saw the pile of bread, assuming that
Because that we don't. No, we're talking about a little.
Found another piece and put it there.
Because it's a designated good place. You designated it as chametz. You want to burn it. We're not talking about a cotton who has das, who's doing this out of consideration for Hilchos Pesach. We're talking about children who are, looking for the cotton candy. Remember, for them, bread was cotton candy, not like by us.
They would add, they would take. They would take this.
They would take. They're not adding to your pile. They're taking. So Mela, when you put 9 pieces and you find 10 pieces, so even though they weren't tied, Mela, if they were tied, right? So you say, what happened there? Even the chiddushes, they weren't tied. They weren't tied. So they're separate. So you could say, okay, somebody added a 10th. No, nobody would add a 10th near them. I don't take my chametz, and I see your chametz and say, let's make a pile of chametz. I take care of my chametz. I want to do the mitzvah in my chametz. People take their chametz very seriously. So therefore, if there's now 10 pieces, where did this 10th piece come from? What happened to it? So Rabbi Tainas, you're good. Somebody added. Chachamim say, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even if the 9 weren't tied together. Now, if the 9 were tied together, you could say, I didn't want to add. But they weren't tied together. Still, I wouldn't add. So why is there a 10th piece? So the understanding is that the 9 pieces are gone. How are they gone? I don't know. Rodents, lahavdil children. Why are the 10 pieces? A new guy came and put his chametz there. So now you're looking for 9 pieces all over your house. And that's the halacha, and that's the case even if you did bittul. Even if you did bittul for the 9 pieces, which means minat Torah, it's not a problem. You have to do another b'dikah because this is not called a suffix. This is called a vadai.
The same would be if you find 8.
But if he recognizes his 9 pieces, then it's for sure he doesn't have to do it. But if it's something
If you recognize it, it's not an issue.
Rebbe was very wealthy, right?
Huh?
Rebbe was very wealthy.
Rebbe was very wealthy. Yeah.
So by him, the bread was not candy, therefore it was, the kids were not supposed to.
Practically today, when we put down 10 pieces, we only find 9, we don't find the 10th, you only have to look for the 10th.
No.
No, because we know where we put it. I mean, it's,
If you put 9 pieces and you find 10,
no, I'm saying we put
you have
10
to be very
pieces.
careful. Unless you recognize them.
We put 10 pieces all around the house, we found 9, we didn't find the 10th, we look for the 10th. Practically speaking.
Oh.
Because, you know,
Oh, for the chatchila you didn't find the 10th. So you have to look for the
yeah,
10th.
I'm saying you don't look for all the 9. You can't say that those were, you know.
Okay, that's something else. Here we're talking about
Practically, if someone doesn't
you put
find-
9 pieces, and now you come, and you find a 10th piece, and you don't recognize them. If you recognize them, we're good, but you don't recognize them. You have to be boidik the whole house, or you have to be boidik till you find the 9 pieces. Okay.
I got Rambam decided with Sif Yud and Sif Yud Alt. Is that what you're gonna be
Yeah.
doing?
Yud Yud Aleph Yud Beis.